So for this very first recipe that I'm doing for cast iron cookout, I'm going to go shopping right here. I need a can of tomato sauce. I'm using my homemade ketchup. And I'm going to back up here. I am calls for frozen veggies. I'm going to use my vegetable soup. And I do need some broth. Let's see. Here we go. Gonna do 1 jar, 1 pint of deer broth. So, and of course, I've already got my hamburger out. So let's get to cooking. So in my Dutch oven, I am cooking. Gonna brown some venison. Man, wasn't that fun? And I do have bacon grease in here because we need some flavor. So we are going to brown this venison, but we're going to add an onion to that. The recipe only calls for ½ a cup. I'm adding the whole kit and caboodle of that onion. This next two ingredients, I wasn't supposed to add it right now, but you know what? I'm adding it. Yep. Carrots and celery. I'm going to add that to this. Letting the celery get a little brown on it as well before we add the other ingredients. And I can imagine this being cooked over an open flame. And I'm going to add also 2 of my spices, some thyme and some basil, to this as well right now. So we're going to get that cooking a little bit before we add the rest of our ingredients to this hamburger soup. So this recipe called for a 1/3 pound of frozen mixed vegetables. I'm adding a jar of my homemade mixed vegetables. Then it also called for a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1 small bay leaf, and it called for an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I'm using a pint of my homemade ketchup. And it also calls for 6 cups of water. I am using deer broth. And of course, since I didn't drain the mixed veggies, I'm kind of washing that out. Kind of rinsing my tomato jar out to that. And it also calls for some macaroni, which is optional, which I'm going to add. May or may not add that. I'm not 100%. But it also calls for some diced potatoes. I'm going to use canned diced potatoes. I'm going to add that like probably in 30 minutes. So now we just need to let all of this simmer and get yummy goodness. And there you go. Now let it simmer, and this is supper tonight. Oh, come on, stop.